This is Jay's Monroe Iglehart, and this is SoundAdvice.
What was like an early role that really made it click that being on stage was for you?
Oh, I would say probably 1991, 1992, before everybody in this room was born. You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. In high school, I was a senior. I played Charlie Brown. I auditioned for Snoopy because I thought that was the cool role and ended up with Charlie Brown. And it was very challenging because I kept thinking, well, Charlie Brown's not black, because I'm a high school kid. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, but then I got out there and started performing and I realized that the little kids who came to see our show didn't even notice that I was a color. I was Charlie Brown because I was wearing the yellow shirt with the little, the little black squiggly. It was the adults who were like, oh, and they looked and realized the children weren't seeing anything, like, oh, I guess we should shut up. And they did. And that was a moment where I was like, I always wanted to perform, but I was like, I think musical theater is where I should be. And that was the click for me. And I've been going, strong ever since.
Is there like a piece of advice or like a lesson that you learned at that time that sticks with you today?
Yeah, I think the thing is, don't judge yourself by your own cover. You're an actor, so you're kind of a blank slate, and you can be anything you allow your imagination to say you can be, especially nowadays with, technology like, YouTube or anything on your computer. You can create yourself to be whatever you want to be. And if you are a clever enough actor and have worked hard enough, you can become those characters. So I think that moment of being Charlie Brown as a kid let me know, hey, I shouldn't judge myself. If people want to judge me, fine. That's them. That's on them. That has nothing to do with me. I need to just look at myself and be confident in my skills at whatever time I'm in, and do the best I can where I am. So that's what that's what I learned, and that's what I would tell someone else.
Shifting gears to A Wonderful World.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about how this role came about for you.
I'll make it quick because it could be a long story, but it was during the pandemic. My wife and I were chilling, and we were, like everybody else, we're trying to find something to watch. And we decided I finally convinced her to let me watch Ken Burns Jazz, which is this long, documentary series. And the first 3 episodes were really about Louis Armstrong. And I thought, well, why hasn't anybody done a musical about him? So I called my people and we found out that there was a musical. And I said, well, call those people and tell them that I'd like to be involved in whatever, whether it be creatively or in it, whatever. I mean, secretly, I was hoping I could be Louis, but I was like, they've got somebody, so they probably won't. But after the pandemic was over, those folks called me and said they wanted me to be involved. Meetings happened, and then the rest is history. We ended up doing a reading of it. Then we ended up doing it out of town. When we were out of town, I said, look, I think I can really help you guys out. And so I pitched myself as one of the co-directors to help the director and the writer fix the show. And I was brought on. So I was brought on the creative team, and my friend Christina Sajou was brought on the creative team. And we were co-directors with Chris Renshaw. And we helped fix the show to what it became to be on Broadway. It's been one of the coolest adventures and toughest, hardest creative and career journeys I've ever had. And as an actor, it's one of the hardest parts I've ever had to play. Not just learning how to do the voice, but, doing an impression of someone is one thing, but to try to just be the person and not do just an impression of them, just for fun, but to actually, embody that person. It was difficult, but it was a lot of fun to learn. And gosh, it was fulfilling every night.
And a lot of your roles, whether that's like Jeannie or from being in Hamilton too, like you've played a lot of like really iconic figures.
Yeah, it is kind of fun to say like, okay, I was Jeannie, and then I was Thomas Jefferson, and then I was King Arthur, and now Louis Armstrong. I seem to jump into these roles where these guys are bigger than life. And my wife says, well, because my personality and my ego is big. So I guess that fits. So I guess it works that way. Yeah. I'm always looking for the bigger thing to do.
How do you find yourself in the role?
What's really funny is in certain roles, I have to, first of all, look what it says on the page and see what it is. And then I go, okay, do I identify with this? And if I don't identify with this, what is it in this character that I can identify with so I can latch on and go? When it comes to Louis, I really was shocked by the fact that he was, loved by white folks, but beloved by black folks, but also disliked by white folks and disliked by black folks at opposite times of his career. And, the black folks felt that he wasn't black enough. And when the white folks found out he was black, they got scared. And I was like, oh, I've been through that. I have lived that. I totally understand this this feeling, because like I said, I was, nothing like doing high school in the 90s, and you're a black kid, and doing musical theater, because like nothing like trying to hide my gypsy, CD away from my friends who all want to know how come it's not, BBD or New Edition or whatever. And those are old R&B groups from a long time ago. So, trying to hide those things and, still be myself. I understood that feeling of being who you are, but not belonging in either group. And so I latched on to that first. And then I started watching, as I read and studied more about Louis, and realizing that he did at some points have imposter syndrome. And it was a wonderful woman who named Lil Harden, who was in our show, played by the amazing performer of Jenny Harney Fleming, who told Louis, you need to get out of the shadow of your mentor. You can be the star. You are the star. If you believe in yourself, you can do that. I understood that because I always wanted to be the guy on the stage, but I also I was afraid of making people upset. And, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife of 23 years, she was like, look, is this what you really want to do? Then step out and do it. And do it. She says, we don't do anything half-ass. We do it. We just go. We're going full throttle, or we're not doing it at all. If we're not giving 100%, what's the point of doing it? And so I know that feeling. And with those two things, I was able to latch onto those two, and then get deeper into Louis to become the part that I needed to become at that time.
Shifting gears to the industry side of things.
Yeah.
As a performer, you're also a recording artist, being featured on different soundtracks. What has been your experience navigating that side of the industry?
Remembering that it's a business. Remembering that wonderful word show business is two words. There's the show. And for most performers, that's the easy part because that's what we want to do. We want to be out in front of people. We want to, sing and dance and act and get the adulation from all the folks. But there's the business part of going, where's my money going? How much am I saving? Who am I talking to? Where are the contracts? What's happening? That's the part that if you can get that down, you're going to be okay. The performing part's easy. So I always tell young folks, I was like, make sure you understand the business part. Just because you have an agent, look at your contract, read your contract, make sure you understand it too. And if there are big words in there, don't say, oh, I don't know. I don't want to let them know. I don't know what that means. No, tell them, I don't know what this means. What does this mean? Does this mean I'm getting paid here? What's going on? Where does the money go? How much do you take? How much do I get? So so that you're not this amazingly talented person and all these wonderful people around you are all getting paid and you're not. So I think that part, I realized that, show business is show business. And once you learn that part, that's the thing that we really need to get in our heads. And that will make you a better performer because you'll be informed.
Also having experience acting on screen and on stage, how do you navigate the different opportunities of that?
The different opportunities come, at will. Sometimes you make them for yourself. Sometimes you see something and go, oh, I want to do that. And so you tell your folks, I want to do this. And then sometimes people see you and go, I think that person could do that. And you have to be open. You can't just say, I'm just one thing. I mean, sure, if you want to just be a Shakespearean actor, cool. There are places for that. That's great. But if you want to be a working actor, you have to be open to everything. And also at the same time, know your limits. Know what you won't do. Say, I won't do this, and be firm on that. And then nobody has any questions. They go, oh, we can't do that because they won't do this. But if you say, I'll do everything but that, then everybody knows what's going on. So that's how you're able to navigate. I think the other thing is to know when to be humongous, because when you're on stage, you could be big, and then when to be small for the camera. And once you kind of play with that, then the show part is easy, but it's that business part of going, okay, I want to navigate to this type of role, but they don't know me like that. Okay, great. So that means I have to stop picking these roles that are easy for me or what they think I am and only accept the ones that will do this as long as I have the money to do that. I also tell actors, I'm like, don't starve. You know, people say, oh, starving actor. Please don't be a starving actor. Starving actors, they're never happy people. Starving actors are usually the ones who hate the most and talk the most crap about people because they haven't eaten. That's why they hate so much, because they're starving. But if you actually are able to get the job that will pay your rent so that you can get to the job you want to do, not only can you eat, pay your rent, but then you're also fulfilled, and then you can go do that smaller indie thing, that cool thing that you really want to do.
How does it feel to be nominated for an award with such a legacy in culture?
I remember watching the Tonys when I was 16, and I thought, I can't wait to be there. I have to be there. I have to be there. I want to win. I want those people that, to acknowledge me. That'd be so cool. And I realized that is there's something in you, as there's a little voice in all of us as a performer that just wants someone to say, you're good. And when someone says that, you get happy, and it kind of becomes a drug, and you go for the next gig. Hopefully people will say, you're good, you're good, you're good. I've learned now at 50 years old, I believe it was the 68th, 69th, I'm probably wrong maybe, when I won my first Tony in 2014, I still had that hole that said, please tell me I'm good. Please tell me I'm good. And then they did. And then I won a Tony, and I was like, great. And then the next day I was like, oh shoot, I got to do something so they can acknowledge me. And I had to learn to fill that hole by telling myself I'm good. But I am so honored, so blessed, and so excited to be a part, because now at this age, at this stage in my career, I can appreciate it in a different way. I can appreciate that I was able to work on something that really meant a lot to me, that really fulfilled something in me artistically and personally. And I knew that I was proud of myself. But then on top of that, to be acknowledged by my community with this high honor is basically like having, a wonderful caramel sauce on a amazing cake. So like the cake is done, we've worked hard on it, but that extra layer that says, I know you feel good, but we want to let you know we saw it too. That's a whole different thing. And the Tonys, to be recognized with this group of 5 guys, there are 5 amazing performers. We're talking about, Jonathan Groff. We're talking about Andrew. We're talking about Darren. We're talking about Tom, Jeremy. These guys are the cream of the crop of their game. And the fact that I'm in that name, I'm on that list. So when people look back at that history book and see that list of this year, that's a legacy that, that's a part of history. And there's something about being a part of history that's really, really cool. But you also got to know that you're good within yourself. And then this part, it's just that extra added moment where you go, damn, that feels good too.